know that only 2% of the world's electricity is solar power?
No way! How is humanity going to overcome climate change if we haven't even managed to get over the first step of renewable energy?
With 70% of the world being powered by fossil fuels, it seems impossible.
Actually, the rise of renewable energy using is fast enough to save the world, and today we will explain how and the benefits of switching to renewable energy.
Hello and welcome back to the podcast. As you might be able to see, Travan has dyed his hair and has changed his accent.
And he's grown his hair out a lot.
Anyway, as you may have guessed from the title of today's video, this video is about renewable energy, or more specifically, solar power.
Solar power is good and all, but I think the world could get on fixing climate change better if we use wind power.
How dare you! Solar power is the best!
No, actually, biomass is the most efficient source of energy, but that's for another episode.
Anyways, the benefits of solar power far outweigh the downsides. For example, solar power is the most affordable source of renewable energy, and this means that it is probably the way of solving the problem of fossil fuels.
Solar panels are made out of photovoltaic cells that convert the sun's energy into electricity. Photovoltaic cells are sandwiched between layers of semiconducting materials, such as silicon. This is known as the photoelectric effect, and it's this that causes the current needed to produce energy.
If you're like me and don't understand anything this guy says, in simple terms, materials in solar panels convert the sun's energy into chemical energy which can be stored until needed.
So what you're saying is the sun is a huge powerhouse in the sky. But over the 181 years of solar panels' existence, they have been heavily underused. The sun produces 384 septillion watts of energy every second, whereas the world only needs about 20 trillion watts every year.
But there are also many other types of sustainable energy, such as hydropower, wind, and many others. But most renewable energy is powered by wind turbines.
Solar power is great for many different reasons. Because it is environmentally friendly, it creates jobs. If you have them fitted onto your roof, it can increase your property value.
But as with everything, there are disadvantages, like they have a high initial cost, that it uses a lot of space, or that it is an intermittent energy source.
And there's also a small amount of pollution in manufacture, transport and installation.
Now, let's get the latest nature news.
So first of all, the latest poll done by the BBC indicates that climate anxiety among young people is on the rise.
This shows that the concern for climate change is shared by everyone and that we should take action now.
Secondly, the River Tamar in Cornwall will be allowed to flood farmland to help wildlife and climate. To reverse Victorian-era reclamation creates rich marshy land that can lock in carbon. Land owned by the National Trust at Cothill Quay in Cornwall, which is being intentionally flooded.
The herons and little egrets have already begun to hunt in the muddy shallows, and the hope is that within a few years, rarer wading birds such as the curlew and mammals, including otters and harvest mice, will appear.
But the project to allow river water from Tamar, the iconic boundary between Devon and Cornwall, back onto a chunk of land that was turned into farmland in Victorian times, is about much more than just attracting wildlife and climate.
As well as being good at flora and fauna,
Yes.
the rich marshy land that is being created will lock carbon, help clean the river by trapping sediment and alleviate flooding when storms sweep in from the Atlantic.
And last but not least, The Guardian says that 4 in 10 young people are hesitant about having children due to the climate crisis.
Are you hesitant?
We're very young. We're young to be worrying about.
But they also think that the government is doing too little about the issue, yes, and that we're not trying to protect the next generation from a climate catastrophe. As a poll in 10 countries has found, three quarters of these people agreed on the statement. The future is frightening. Here is that article.
We'll link it in the description.
We'll link it in the description.
Yes.
I'm sorry.
Question of the week.
Well, fine. Welcome to a new segment on the podcast called Question of the Week. This week's question: are solar panels overrated?
Oh, are solar panels overrated? My opinion, there are better sources of energy. Like, they do produce a lot of energy, but have you heard wind turbines, one rotation of their blades can power a house for a day?
Wow. And to think how many solar panels there are.
And
I think so.
I know that wind turbines are also an intermittent energy source, but we should have both.
Well, I agree completely. I find they have many up and down sides, but I think they are overrated indeed. But due to the fact that they are the most famous and crazed renewable energy source, whereas they are expensive and much other simpler methods are much more efficient.
I agree with Oshan and Joe. They are, they are simple. It's probably the simplest way of renewable energy in the home. You can't really get a solar, it's not a solar, massive wind turbine in your garden. I mean, you can get small ones, but they don't make.
They power your house.
They would power your house.
I know, but it's a bit more.
This is
not overrated. Oh, sorry, they are overrated, and we should be using other sorts of renewable energy, such as biomass, which is quite easy.
It's 50%.
For farmers, a bit easier for farmers.
But also, I am going to add to these points. There have been new technologies that have been developed where solar panels can create energy when they're in the shade. And they're only about this big, and they can actually produce more energy than these huge stuff that are like the size of this room nearly.
Wow, that's amazing.
Both.
But I think that, if we put our minds to it, it is a possibility that solar panels could change the world. But that's probably very unlikely.
Debate time.
This week on Debate Time, we will be debating everything solar panels. So, as we just said, there are many good things about them, many bad things. As Joe just mentioned, one of the bad things is they don't work in the shade.
But there is a solution to this.
Yes, but no one knows about it, so we should spread awareness of it.
Joe's looking it up now.
I am looking it up now.
Anyway,
entertaining them.
In the meantime, what's your favourite source of renewable energy?
I'm gonna say turbines. I think they look cool.
Indeed, I think
They're very
look
interesting.
cool.
I mean, they are very dangerous if you're working on them.
I know a person who has a hydro mill. Is that what they're called?
Wow.
Hydro mill, like very small. They have a tiny little stream, and the hydro mill runs through it,
So
it picks up the energy. The water flows through, spins a turbine, creates energy, and it powers the entire house.
Wow. So if you
And everything on the ground
if
of
you
the
live by
house.
a water source, not like
If you live by any
but-
small sort of natural water source, most turbine-powered sources are used by a natural force pushing a turbine round and round. So in hydro mills, it's very useful because you spin a turbine with the natural stream that's there. So you need to own the stream for the to make a hydro mill, but I'm sure you could ask your council, and it would possibly, if it's a big enough stream, power your entire neighbourhood.
Wow. Yeah. Are they cheap or?
They are rather expensive.
But they
It
are,
would cost
but
£10,000 roughly, or £10,000 to £8,000
But then
for
you
a
don't
hydro
have to
mill.
buy boiler bill, don't you?
You don't have to. So essentially,
You don't have to pay British Gas.
you don't have to pay British Gas exactly. So it's
So you're
8,000
kind
a
of
bit.
saving money there in the long
In
term.
the sense, yes, but the council will pay. Will probably charge you to take the energy from it. So I would more recommend maybe buying a stream. but anyway, or if Joe would have any disagreements with that, or anyone would have any disagreements with not the buying the stream part. Because I wouldn't recommend buying a stream. It would cost you a lot more than it would make you. So I think that the hydrothermal is very good.
I
never heard of that.
agree.
Hydrothermal, sorry. Not
Right. So the article that I saw like a month or so ago was a lot more updated, but this article was published in 2013, so it's less up to date, but still has some information. So it says all solar panels will perform better in open south-facing locations that get direct sunlight, but amorphous panels will work best in shady or cloudy conditions, but still won't compete with monocrystalline or polycrystalline panels.
So like those are.
They absorb the shade. They can't work in those because
So they can work very efficiently in the shade, but
not as well.
not as well as those when it's in the sun.
So essentially, it's a bad thing.
Well, depending where you live, really.
You could have a bit of both.
If you live in like somewhere like, for example, Norway,
Britain.
Maybe you could layer the
in the
maybe
winter.
maybe you almost layer the cells on top of each other.
They in the thing that I saw, this solar panel
Could do
works
both.
in both conditions.
Yeah, that would
very
be
well.
amazing. I'm not sure if that's
And
a
they
thing,
are.
is that?
It is. It was in the New Scientist.
And they are.
What, Science Focus?
No, the New Scientist magazine.
And they are
Did you see
quite.
Science Focus?
Never seen that.
Oh, it's good. So a special edition.
Okay.
With
They are quite cheap. 170, 150.
Well, depends.
If you want to get a good one, I'd say about how much? 2.
And also, it depends on the size of this panel.
Yeah,
if you want it this big, it won't cost you much. But if you want a huge one, the
bigger
size of that wall,
1,000.
it will cost.
Roughly.
There's even one that says 2,900.
That's really isn't very much for your home source though. If that will power your home, and that
That would power a
great.
school.
That would power a school. So that is amazing value. So how much you spend on
But you have to cost insulation.
how much you spend on electricity bills? If you cut down on gas and didn't do any gas at all, and have everything in your house being electric, this would power all of that. How much do you pay in electricity bills per year?
I don't know.
I wouldn't know, as in a couple thousand maybe.
That's the average.
Yes.
Sorry about this. This is just. Oh, this is all like researching in the moment. Good bit of behind the scenes stuff.
Right. So it says average electricity bills in 2020 was 705 per year.
And you'd be spending.
That was 2020 though. We were in lockdown, so
in worst case scenario.
But then in other years it was more similar to 582. But that's the average.
In the long run.
But essentially, like 600 in a way.
In the long run, you are gaining.
It's like an investment.
It depends. So that would the £2,000 one was one the size of a wall. You only need one like this big to power your household. Do you not, Joe?
So it'd probably be around the same.
So it would probably be about £1,000, and if you were paying £600 per year, you make your thing back. You make your money back extra in 2 years, and it would just keep going up. By 10 years, you would have made.
Well, you wouldn't have made. You'd have saved.
You would have saved like thousands of pounds. So I think it would be quite good to get one of those. Yeah. So that's just my point essentially.
Yes.
And also, with the land value stuff, that also, in the long run as well, everything is the long run with solar panels. It increases your your house value. So, can you check, Bri, how much and then you get more if you bought. So in the end, in the end, you spend about 1,000. You make back that money in 2 years, and then you get more money if you put them on your house. Can you check how much?
You know, solar
How
panels.
much what?
The land value goes up if you have
Okay,
solar panels.
yes. For that, I'd just like to add something. There are people then debating that there are, like, it takes up a lot of land, and that land could potentially be like conservation land. So,
But it's a similar. What's more efficient? What's more efficient for the environment, conservation or solar panels?
we can't.
Let's discuss. And anyway, I personally think solar panels are one of the only renewable energy sources that can be used basically anywhere in sunlight. That is, if you live in a cave, it's probably not your best option. But
Anyone who lives in a cave would not.
Yeah, anyone who lives on the surface world would probably be able to use solar powers if if it was on certain days of the year, and you could even buy a shade one. And as Joe said, there is some which do shade and light.
I checked how much it increases the land property value. So 8% in price, and your house would sell 20% faster. So if you were looking to buy a house quickly,
Don't buy one with solar panels if you want to save money on your house.
Oh yeah,
because it's going to cost a lot.
Then you could invest in something to add, and then it's kind of
essentially it's
What are we
cheaper
now?
for you.
Just teaching financial hacks.
yeah, we're financial.
Essentially, it's cheaper for you to
podcast.
buy a normal house and then put
My
solar
kids
panels on it
know nothing
than it
about
is to buy a
financial.
house and with solar panels already.
But we're not telling you how to buy a house.
Buy a house without
We
solar
have
panels,
no
then
idea
buy
how
solar
to.
panels.
Just don't even know why we're adding this in. Just
This is
useful
debate
information, maybe.
Anyone want to add anything to that?
Well, Joe, this is today the end of debate time. So, yeah.
Debate time. Thank you for listening to this quite short episode.
One question: do you like these shorter episodes or the longer ones?
Comment, or we will be doing a poll in Instagram on our
At
story.
Nature Podcast, and probably on Twitter, maybe on YouTube if we can, and yeah, remember to subscribe on us to us on YouTube. Follow on Instagram and Twitter at Nature Podcast.
And also, remember to give us your well-earned money at www.buymeacoffee.com//Save Nature Podcast.
But we won't be spending it on coffee. We'll
Yeah.
be spending
We will
it on
we'll be
something.
spending it on your visual quality and the enjoyment.
Adapters. We'll probably be sending on adapters.
We'll be
to
spending
get
it,
better microphones.
and we will be spending it on for your enjoyment. And thank you. And bye.
I'll be buying
Adios.